Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. Now, RAM prices have absolutely doubled. How the heck do you find the best RAM for Black Friday without blowing your entire PC build budget? Don't panic. We're going to cover what's happening with RAM prices, why despite higher RAM prices, you should not wait to build your PC, and we'll help you find the right RAM kit for your budget and performance needs. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like and of course subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it.
This video is sponsored by VIP SCD Key. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows licenses and that terrible Activate Windows watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SCD Key and get a Windows 11 OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 30% off during their Black Friday sale. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom! Windows is fully licensed for a crazy low price. And they have Microsoft Office licenses too. Use the links in the video description.
So RAM prices have skyrocketed due to unprecedented AI data center expansion with hundreds of billions of dollars with a B being spent and more every day. RAM makers have switched over to server memory production, leaving consumer devices from desktops to laptops to even smartphones in short supply. And this trend is likely going to continue with RAM prices continuing upwards unless, of course, the AI bubble bursts. But if it doesn't, RAM price inflation is likely to continue for some time. The RAM prices you're seeing right now is probably better than you're going to see in the future. At the same time, with Black Friday discounts on motherboards, CPUs, PC cases, power supplies, and coolers, this is the best time to offset those higher RAM prices, and I recommend don't wait if you want to build a new PC or upgrade anytime between now and the next couple of years. So what kind of RAM do you need in your PC build? In our Best RAM for Gaming 2025 video that we put out earlier this year, I go through how to compare different RAM speeds and cache latencies, what RAM I recommend for various CPUs, both Intel and AMD, including DDR4 and DDR5 systems. We go through overclocking and other things, so you can check that out for a full breakdown of everything you need to know about RAM in 2025. In this video, I'm going to focus mostly on helping you navigate through the current RAM price apocalypse. So option 1, to save money on your RAM kit, you can consider a slower speed. Now, starting with DDR5, I mostly recommended DDR5 6000 CL30 for Ryzen and Intel systems due to its superior price to performance. And for much of 2024 and 2025, it just didn't make any sense to purchase a different speed RAM kit or one with looser timings because you only saved about $10 for a 32GB kit. Now, looking at previous RAM performance testing done by Techspot, aka Hardware Unboxed, with a Ryzen 7700X, the difference in performance at 1080p with an RTX 4090 across 7 games was only 8.5% between DDR5 6000 CL30 and DDR5 6000 CL40, which is not much. And if you go up in resolution to 1440p or if you use a slower GPU, much of that disappears as we become more GPU bound. But for an extra $10 at the time, it made sense. Just get the better kit. With the price difference now more extreme than that, the recommendation does change. Meanwhile, if you're using a Ryzen X3D CPU, we can see how little that they care about memory speed scaling due to their huge amount of V-cache. Raptor Lake-based Intel platforms care even less, with only a 5.6% difference between DDR5 6000 CL30 and even a slow DDR5 5200 CL40 kit. So if it saves you a significant amount of money, get a slower RAM kit for your PC build, especially in regions where DDR5 6000 CL30 kits are harder to find anyway. At this point, I would recommend anything that's DDR5 5600 CL40 or faster. It's also okay to get kits that go over 6000 speeds for Ryzen, like a lot of DDR5 6400 CL32 kits that we see. While this might kick the memory controller into a less desirable 2-to-1 ratio, the performance difference is relatively minor and at higher resolutions than 1080p or with weaker graphics cards than like an RTX 4090, the difference is likely very, very small. Of course, for Intel DDR5 systems, there's really no speed limit like 6000 like there is for Ryzen, so feel free to get those faster kits. Option number 2, for extreme budget builds using DDR4 RAM, like an AM4 or previous gen Intel systems, you can consider going with a 2x8GB kit of RAM, if that saves you money. Because DDR4 memory controllers can handle 4 sticks, even using the faster XMP timings, you can buy an identical kit in the future for an easy upgrade to 32 gigabytes. I don't necessarily recommend this for most builders using DDR5 though. There are not a ton of these 2x8 gigabyte DDR5 kits in the US market. There are some. You'll see them pop up sometimes in combo deals with CPUs, motherboards, and other things. But DDR5 memory controllers for both Intel and Ryzen, they're not where DDR4 memory controllers are. They can't necessarily handle 4 sticks at higher speeds without you manually tuning it, not just using XMP or expo timings. So this is not necessarily a situation where you're just gonna be able to buy an identical 2x8 gigabyte kit and drop it in and have 4 sticks in the future. To upgrade to 32 gigabytes, you'll likely need to get a whole new kit and ditch the old kit. So the overall savings here, it's somewhat questionable. But here's the bigger question. Is 16 gigabytes even enough for gaming in 2025? Techspot, aka Hardware Unboxed, tested this out a while ago, and they found with essentially unlimited memory available, most games ran under 16 gigabytes, though some were quite tight. Those that wanted more RAM, mostly AAA titles, generally also ran on 16 gigabytes, but the limitation here is that the games would micro stutter, with a couple experiencing more significant stutters with extended gameplay like Hogwarts Legacy. Now 16 gigabytes, it's still the most popular RAM configuration on the Steam hardware survey at 41%. But at the same time, going with a 16 gigabyte kit does limit your ability to play whatever games you want on your PC. And even with easier to run titles, you'll still need to be vigilant in shutting everything else down while playing your game. For most DDR5 PC builds, I think it's better to spend the money for 32 gigabytes. Even with current prices. I'd personally drop down to a more budget motherboard. I'd drop down from a higher end CPU like a Ryzen 9700X to a 7600X. I'd find a cheaper PC case. I'd drop from 2 terabytes of storage to 1 terabyte and similar build reductions to make that happen. In fact, that brings us to option 3. Offset the current crazy RAM prices by being smart with the rest of your PC build. Now in September 2025 for a $1,000 PC build, RAM would have accounted for roughly 10% of your budget. Now it's 20%. It definitely stings. But given the deals that we're seeing on motherboards, PC cases, PSUs, and other components, it's still very doable right now. For a $2,000 build, RAM went from 5% of your cost up to about 11%. Much of that's going to be offset by Black Friday deals. These higher RAM prices are not going away, and they're likely going to get worse. But the Black Friday deals and other PC parts, those are going to go away, which is why I say don't wait if you're looking to build or upgrade your PC. We've got lots of build guides on the channel, and we'll be posting lots of Black Friday specific videos and deals on the channel and our socials, so keep an eye out for that. All right, everybody, buckle up because we're about to go through current RAM kit options that I'm seeing at the time of filming. I'll link everything down in the video description. I'll keep those updated so you can keep finding the best RAM kit for your PC build. Let's start off with some DDR5 6000 CL30 kits. This is what I typically recommended for Ryzen because it was the best performance RAM, and for Intel because it was the best price to performance at the time. And we'll compare it to slower speed kits right now that are available. So you can see right now about $250 for a DDR5 6000 CL30 kit. This is Corsair, normally one of the more expensive kits out there. However, because pricing is just up and up and up. Right now, they're kind of lagging on the price at $245. I say lagging. Kingston Fury, often one of the more expensive kits in the US for some reason. I know in other markets, they're much better priced. $229 cheap in the US. Again, DDR5 6000 CL30 and the 32 gigabyte kits. The T-Force Delta kits that were often the best price now tend to lead the pack. $250. Woo, that is quite a bit of money. But again, if you're ready to spend it out there, if you're doing a $2,000 or $2,500 system, that's not a lot of extra money to spend on your RAM and get the best, quote unquote. Now let's compare it to some slower speed RAM. Here's DDR5 6000 CL36 Patriot Kit, 32 gigabytes for $179. Now we saw in the performance data earlier, not that big a performance hit with an RTX 4090 at 1080p. We go up in resolution, or if we go lower end graphics cards, even with like a RTX 5080, you're not going to see that much performance hit. And honestly, with an X3D CPU, probably would be almost identical. You could measure the difference, but you really couldn't tell it as a gamer. Patriot tends to be one of the lowest cost providers out there, as is PNY. $184 here for a DDR5 6000 CL36 kit. And these are relatively good voltages, by the way, 1.35 volts. I'm not seeing anybody really revving up kind of terrible memory to try and hit some of these speeds out there. Then we've got the G-Skill Ripjaws M5 for $189. This is a 6400 CL36 kit, so slightly faster than the other two that I just showed you. It's a nice RGB kit at that. $189. Amazon, I'm not seeing a lot of great deals on, but this is a particularly good deal. I'll leave them linked down in the video description. Obviously, prices are going to change, so we'll keep putting the best deals that we can find. Also seeing some other kits like this, DDR5 7000 CL32. You might be like, Jason, how fast of a kit can I actually get to run on my motherboard? Most AM5 motherboards would be able to do something like this with an updated, the latest BIOS, obviously. I wouldn't go much faster than 7200, 7400. Same with Intel B660, B760, Z690, Z790 motherboards. They should be able, any of the DDR5 ones should be able to roughly do this speed as well. But obviously, the faster we go, the more we increase the likelihood that we won't be able to get the RAM to clock up to its full rated speed using the Expo or XMP timings. Let's take a quick look at 2x8 gigabyte DDR5 kits. This is why it is a little bit enticing, right? $79. Now, this is a super cheap kit. Tomorrow, this kit might be $108 for all I know, because it's kind of out of line with the rest of the pricing, but it is available at Amazon right now. Kingston Fury Beast is RGB. It's not great memory. It's 5600 CL36. It's roughly equivalent basically to 6000 CL40, that kind of lower limit that I set earlier. $80, and that's kind of what's enticing about it, because it's $100 cheaper than getting a 32 gigabyte kit. Is it possible you could get two of these kits and possibly clock them up? Maybe, but you'd really want to know what you're doing if you tried to do that. On the other hand, you could also grab something like this over at Newegg. This is a Team Group 16 gigabyte kit. It's nice. It's RGB. It looks great. Comes in black or white. $97. You're like, geez, that's a lot of money to save to only go to 16 gigabytes, but it does have all those limitations of only having 16 gigs. Just a quick sanity check for those of you who are kind of split between, maybe you should drop down to a Ryzen 5600 system, because the RAM prices and the motherboard prices even, and the CPU prices are a little bit less. What does it cost for a DDR4 32 gigabyte kit? 122 is about the cheapest I can find right now. That's the Silicon Power kit over at Newegg. Newegg tends to have the best deals on these, but more like $140 to $150. Here's a Team Force Delta RGB kit too, $139. You can also get, this is 3600 CL18, same speed effectively as a 3200 CL16. And those are the speeds I typically recommend for either AMD or Ryzen DDR4 kits. Also, if you're on Intel, by the way, and you can get either a DDR4 or DDR5 motherboard, maybe this makes a difference to you. As you can see, it's not a huge cost savings, so it is something to consider. I just wouldn't overly let it determine your CPU choice unless you're super budget constrained. And finally, for those of you considering a 2x8 gigabyte DDR4 kit, about $75 right now. This is for super ultra budget builds, but I will say, check out Newegg or other similar retailers. They have been offering some RAM motherboard combos out there, especially for DDR4. Remember, everything is linked down in the video description. We're going to keep searching for the best RAM deals that we can find every day and posting them down there as well as some other good Black Friday deals. If you got value out of this video, please give a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. Sorry for my voice today. I just got over a massive cold. That's why I sound a little odd, and that's why this video took a little bit longer than I wanted it to. But check out some other cool content like our best GPU for Black Friday and our best CPU for Black Friday. Looking for a GPU or a CPU for Black Friday, or maybe a combo? Check these out, and we'll catch you on the next one.